Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we are continuing with our technique that we played with yesterday, which is the watercolor pencils and using it on a project. So we're using the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor pencils, okay? And since we already colored them yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and just start getting this prepared so we can make our card front, okay? Um, so on this particular paper I'm using, this is a Nina. It's like a cream color. It's not the white, but it's supposed to be 110 as far as the weight. And we are just using the bone folder, trying to get this lined up. I used my um, score tool on my cutter, and I don't know, it never does right. I should just fold it over in half, score it, and let that be it. But I was trying to be preemptive. So after trimming our front piece down to 4 by 5 1/4, I'm using my ATG tape to tape up the background. We're going to use some wet glue, which I think is even more important because this particular paper is a little bit thicker. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Anywhere where there looks like a glob, I just kind of ran my finger through it so that way it would not ooze out all over the place. So after I get this lined up and I clean up any wet glue that might have seeped out, um, I'm going to let this dry, but I am going to wind up putting a block on top of it. And I recently got this one from my little scrapbook store, and it's had a nice weight to it, and it's large enough to cover the entire card front. Love it. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. I will leave links down below for my little scrapbook store. Okay. All right. So now that that's sitting for a little bit, I'm trying to figure out. I want to show you a few other techniques with this particular stamp, and I'm not sure if it's going to make sense. I'm trying to grab some paper, okay? Just bear with me. Stay with me, okay? So once that's been sitting, I have the other one, but I want to, like I said, I want to show you a few things. So I'm going to go ahead and take my tape off and get that refilled while I tell you about some of the other things. So we've done embossing before. We've now done with this particular technique an embossing and then using the watercolor with an embossed image. I want to show you that you can also just straight heat emboss to a project and just add a sentiment and it can be done. So I'm going to show you the two ways that you could create this card front. And it can be as simple as just heat and embossing your stamped image, or it can be as detailed as the coloring that we did using the watercolor pencils, which really wasn't that difficult. It was actually very calming. It's great stress relief, and it turns out to be, really pretty in the end. So right now I'm going to cut some craft cardstock at the 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to also cut one in navy blue. Now, the navy blue I got is a 12 by 12. I'm just going to cut one piece of, like I said, I think I measured it at 5 1/4 and then cut it off at 4. Okay, so these we're going to use later for our sentiments. Right now, I'm going to grab the stamp, the same stamp that we used the other day, because I just wanted to show you real quick how really cute this can be. So we're going to treat our paper just like we did yesterday. And then we're going to use Versamark ink. Well, not Versamark ink. We're using the Distress, what is this one called? Yeah, embossing dauber. So this is clear. And I'm pressing down, and then at one point I actually start to kind of like glide it over, because I realized with it being wet on the sponge, I was like, well, it may actually do better if I kind of take it just across the top of the stamp, you know, because even though it didn't stamp all over as fully using this particular hand block. So I'm going to tell you, if you have the Misty tool, if you have the Ranger tool, the stamp tools, any stamp tool, I don't care whose it is. Just when you're using a stamp like this, definitely use the stamp tool. And you'll see, because I'm going to pull it out and use it again on the blue, because I just feel like, nah, I'm gonna get a better stamp. And that allows you also to restamp if you need it to. So with this one, my only mistake was in trying to get it in the right spot, I wound up putting the stamp too far up. So it'll stamp enough for me to be able to show you what I need. But if I was doing an actual card front, I probably would scrap it and obviously do it again, because it didn't stamp fully. I don't know if you can see, part of the stamp is on the pink, and had I thought about it, I should have brought it down, not up. But, you know, it is what it is. We're going to try it again and just get this inked up, and then use the stamp to stamp it down. And I like to do the like partial hanging off idea of the stamped image. That's why I'm not going all the way in the front, like 100% over top of the whole entire thing. You could definitely do that and then still put a large sentiment right on top of the embossing that you're doing. I just like the way this looks coming in from the one side. Okay. So now we're just using the platinum embossing powder, which I love. This is a Ranger embossing powder as well. I'm hoping if I ever run out that they still have it available, because it's one of my favorite embossing powders ever. I love this one. And then we're going to do the same thing. I did the same thing with the craft, but I decided, you know what, we're going to do this different, because I believe I can get a better punch or stamp on here if I just move my pad and stuff slightly and try again. That's the beauty of having a two-sided piece of paper. If you mess up on one side, flip it over and do it again, okay? So we're going to ink it up. I'm looking on the sides. You can't see me, but I'm looking on an angle to make sure I got that embossing ink all over. And then we're going to press, and I press again just to make sure, because I don't want to leave anything undone. So now we're just going to try this embossing powder again. And as you lay down embossing powder, you can see how the image is basically like coming to life. As it's wet, you can kind of see it there, but you don't really see it until we start adding the embossing powder. And then we're going to cover everything up once we get the far outside. And then that's it. We'll put that to the side, and let's start heating this up. So that way you can see, and I think this way is probably one of the best ways to really see how the heat embossing works when you do it on colored paper, because you can see it go from a dull and like the color is brightening. That means that it's melted and it's nice and shiny. And then once your tool is nice and hot, it doesn't take long for it to heat up. That's for sure. And then go ahead and heat up that last little bit. Heat from the back. And then those are those completed. And then I always take my microcloth, my cloth, and just rub along it so that way any powder will be removed, and then you get a nice beautiful embossed image, right? So we're going to put that up there, and now we're going to do the sentiments. So I have just because sentiment, and then I also have happy birthday, and once again I'm using Midnight from Catherine Pooler to stamp our sentiments. And happy birthday was just slightly too big for the circle block. So that's why I grabbed this other one real quick and just stamped. And there you go. And then we're going to create two different endings for our sentiments. But once again, because this is a archival ink, I want to make sure that I get those cleaned up really quick. Otherwise, it will stain your rubber and it'll stain your clear stamps as well. So on the just because, I'm going to cut at an angle so you can put your sentiment anywhere on the card front. And then with these, look, all you need is the sentiment. That embossing is so pretty. It really does just make it as simple as that. We sometimes want to make it difficult to make cards, but in all, if you have an outline stamp and you love the way it looks, like a flower or, you know, whatever, use it, emboss it, and you have a beautiful card front, really and truly. So for these cards that we're making today, we're going to use some foam tape. We're just going to put it on the back of the sentiment. Take the backing off, add a little bit of wet glue so we have a little bit of wiggle room, and go ahead and put this happy birthday on, which we created a little flag at the end, making it like a little banner. And then we're going to do the same thing with the just because and this one. I'm going to trim it down, and then we're going to make it into a card as well. And most of my card bases are what they call A2 size, which is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're just going to put some tape down, and then we'll go ahead and fold over our cardstock. Now I will say one good thing is you guys can't see. I did wind up putting a little thumbprint on the card, on the base, but it winds up being covered by our final project, so we're going to be okay. And then now that I have the main focal image on, I'm going to use that black again. And oh, I forgot to mention, you could do the same thing with this one. All I did was stamp it in the black, do a just because, and you have a beautiful sentiment, a beautiful card that you can use just with black ink. I love that. I love the simplicity of that. So I love the fact that I can just really quick whip out, stamp an image, and I can have a card base. Or if I want to take it and make it extra, I can do some coloring, and you have these really beautiful cards that can work with any sentiment, whether it be happy birthday, just because, thinking of you, get well soon. You know, it's perfect canvas for really and truly anything. So that is our final project. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please consider even doing the embossing, very simple card fronts. And if you have your watercolor pencils, go ahead and pull them out. They are so much fun to use. All right, you guys, once again, if this is your first time finding my channel, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. If you've been with me before, thank you for continuing to watch and enjoy these series. And I will look forward to seeing you guys with our next videos. Have a great week.